Welcome to episode 64 of the Positive on Publishing podcast. This podcast aims to inspire you with information to allow you to pursue your creative life with a smile on your face. I'm your host, Dr. Catherine Gaillet. Learn more about my work at makeeverythingfun.com. My guest today is my dear friend, Susie Carder. Susie Carder is a published author, public speaker, profit coach, entrepreneur, and inventor of the predictable success method. With 20 plus years of experience, she's had the opportunity to work with leading business influencers from around the world to help them plan, strategize, and reach success. So we're going to give you a lot of fun nuggets in this interview about how you too can reach success. And of course, we're going to be talking about Susie's new book. So welcome to the show, Susie.
Thanks for having me. And more important, thank you so much for doing this for all of us, right? For entrepreneurs in general. This is one of my favorite ways to learn is to hear from great people and get their take on it. It's such a juicy conversation. So thank you for who you are in the world. I appreciate it. And willing to make it fun. That's the more important part, right?
Yes, fun is the fuel. I always say that it's the fuel that gets us through the challenges that in life that we inevitably are facing, that we are facing today and that we'll be facing in the future. So fun is the fuel that allows us to get through those inevitable dips in life so that we can smooth things out and have a successful life. And so a lot of authors and inspiring authors listen to this podcast, Susie, and I love to find out when that aha moment was for you about, you have so much experience, you've helped so many people. What was it like? I really want to get this into a book to spread the word to more people.
Oh, Catherine, I had such a strategy. I'm laughing. I did not. My first book I wrote when I was 27, and I wrote it because my clients said, I started speaking and wanting to contribute to my industry. So I'm a hairdresser. That's where my vocation started. And I did six figures. I did $250,000 a year, working 3 days a week as a hairdresser. And I wanted to contribute to industry because the average person was making $30,000 a year. And the missing was about 15% of your financial success is your technical ability. The other 85% is the business and business strategy. And so I felt like when I realized the formula, that's the predictable success method, when I realized like there's a formula to this thing called math. There's a formula to this thing called business. Oh my God, I have to share. So I started sharing and then people are like, Susie, oh my God, I love what you do. Do you have a book? I'm like, no, I'm a hairdresser. I don't have a book. They're like, you need to write a book. If you wrote a book, we'd buy a book. I'm like, okay, now. Like my clients just kept asking me because I was traveling and teaching and so I'm like, okay, I'm going to write a book. So I wrote a book. Now, the interesting thing is my publisher in the industry denied me. So there was only one publisher in that industry. They were the largest publisher in our industry and one of the largest publishers in the world. And so they said, I'm sorry, we're not interested in your book. Well, as an entrepreneur, nobody tells Susie no. Fine. I will open my own publishing company. So I created Carder Creative Enterprises and launched my own public company so I could publish my book. And we published all our work under that publishing company. And because nobody told me no, right? Didn't know what I was doing. So I want everyone to know you don't have to know all the answers. You just have to have the passion and the commitment and know the right people, right? What you know and who you know. So I found a book. It was Dan Pointer's book, the self-publishing manual, and followed his guidelines, follow what to do, found a great editor, published that first book. Now that was 20 some years ago. So that's a big leap from where I am today, not knowing anything to like, oh, I wish I had a strategy. Now there's so many resources and so many people to help us putting a strategy together. More importantly, how do you make money? Because a book can be an expensive business card, right? Or a book can be a profitable venture. I want to teach you, very much like you, how to make it a profitable venture. How do you leverage that book? How do you monetize the book and monetize your message, right? So that it's not just an expensive business card or, bookends or boxes in your garage or closet, right? So the journey wasn't planned. The journey was called from my clients. And throughout the years, really built this thing called the Speaking and Training Company. And again, it came from my clients, right? Because back in the day, there wasn't strategists. There wasn't people saying, here's what you do next. Here's what you do next. Here's what you do next. So I want to take all that mystery out. Like, let's take the mystery out. Let me give you a roadmap so you can leverage your talent, your gift, that divine calling that only you have.
I love that. Susie, I got so many fun nuggets out of that. I'm going to probably just like trickle them out and we can dive deeper on each of them. That first thing is that the success is 15% technical, like, your technology and what you can do and all that. And then the 85% is your business strategy. And I wanted to talk more about that because I have so many clients that are amazing. They're so talented, and yet they get really stuck when I'm working with them. It's like, I have people that have said, like, you've saved my life, Catherine. And it was like, we just got you unstuck, right? And I think actually it's that 15%, sometimes that technical issue, the technical issues of how do I actually go about this, that get people unstuck. Yet the 85% is way more important. So how do we get people, because we all know about Pareto and like the 80-20 rule, how do we get people past that 15% so they can soar to their own success?
Well, I think when you realize as an entrepreneur, you have to, that 15% is the vocation, your job is that you do. So if I go, okay, so that I can make a bigger impact if I'm looking at my sales plan, my marketing plan, operations, finance. For most people, that's not sexy, right? That's not fun. But I always say math is money and money is fun. Like I teach math, I teach business finance, poke a needle in most people's eyes, but I have learned to make it fun because we love what money can do for us, the freedom it gives to us, right? The flexibility it gives to us, the opportunities it gives to us. So when I look at a business and a business owner that's just focused on their technical ability, they're focused on their vocation, to go, let's take a minute and put a plan together. 88% of small businesses fail in the first 5 years. Most people have heard that stat. Right. So look at the 20% that's left over. That 20% aren't even paying themselves, Kathleen, what they would make inside of a job. So first of all, we're not making money in business and you're not paying yourself as you paid with a job, but that's because we're not working on the business of the business. So I want you to look at putting your business plan together. Now, nobody wants to do that, but I promise you, if you take the time to do it, it will pay you dividends over and over and over and over again. Because now instead of making it up every month, now instead of being stuck, you go to your plan and go, what did I say I was going to do? While you're in a space of creativity, right? Because when you get in the minutia of business, creativity can dissipate, right? Unless you have a coach that's keeping you innovative, keeping you thinking of it, you're left to yourself. So I freak out just like every other business owner. I was telling my client today, I'm like, girl, I was freaking out in December because my American Express was $100,000. I was like, oh my God, right? I've spent so much, on building my business and my book launch and, my book launch team and my advertising. I'm freaking out. And I go, wait, Susie, what do you know? What do you know? I'm like, I know my plan. So I went to my plan. I looked at my plan. I'm like, oh, I said sales would dip. Sales are coming back in January, and then February they're skyrocketing. Then they'll dip in March and dip in April, and then they go back up in June. So I have the trajectory of what my year is going to look like, so I cannot freak out. Or if I'm going to freak out, I can go back and get some calm inside of the storm. My plan also tells me how many units of whatever it is that I'm going to sell, how many units do I need to sell? So I think a lot of times in business, we're confusing fans with qualified customers. So everyone's so excited to get 100,000 fans on Facebook or Instagram or TikTok or LinkedIn, whatever the new thing is. And the reality is fans aren't consumers. I think that's the first thing we need to look at. Fans are not consumers. They're fans, right? And we need fans, but we've got to turn those fans into consumers. So it's not enough just to get people to follow you. We got to get people to engage. And once they engage, then they can come over and then become a client, right? And the client, what defers a client or refers to a client is they put money down on something. That's the goal of a client, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I'm going to just throw in nugget number 2, and I'm going to bring us back to a point where you said that you got to know early on in your career from a publisher. And I think it's important to highlight that. Your no led to your great success. And, and actually, let me just go back a little bit too, to what you just said about that getting unstuck from that 15%. Sometimes you need to ask for help. And sometimes that means hiring a coach. We're not saying, hire a coach to do your whole life, because that's not going to create the success. It's the client that creates the success.
Right.
But that getting people, if you don't know how to do a plan, hire somebody to do it, and then you can get unstuck. And this whole no issue, Marcy Shimoff is famous for saying that rejection is God's protection. However, if you get a no, you need a plan in order to create success out of that no. So tell us more about how you create plans. And you can go back to that time when you got a no from the publisher. You can go back to any time that you've received a no. People look at successful entrepreneurs and think, oh, it's all so easy. They were an overnight success. So kind of talk to that idea of, really hunkering down, putting together a plan. And then, the plan can be modified and it can be a living document, but it does provide, a vision, and it starts to put a strategy in place that provide guideposts and signs to whether I'm on the right path or if I need to pivot.
Right. Well, the first book, it was Ignorance on Fire. So I'm not even gonna lie and say I had strategy. It was just somebody told me no. So I'm like, well, how do I do this then? So that was really Ignorance on Fire. This book, right? This is book number 10, right? So all my other books are published under my publishing company. This book is published by Simon & Schuster, my new book. Now, let me tell you, I had 8 major publishers say no. So I had my book launch plan, my book marketing plan, and it was good, really good, quantifiable. I knew how many books I was selling. I knew who my marketing partners were. It was clear. Every publisher that read it said it was the best marketing plan they'd ever read, which was amazing. And they still said no. Whether it was the right genre or it didn't really matter what they were marketing to. I learned so much about publishers. Each publisher has their sweet spot and who they want to speak to. So instead of getting frustrated, I just went, okay, that's not the right partner. So who is the right partner? Who is the right partner? Who's the right publisher? And we just kept putting it out there. And it took me about 1.5 years to find the right partner. And the right partner was the right publisher, right? And by the time I got to the right partner, it was really a match. I mean, she and I just clicked. We started talking about what we were going to do. We started talking about the strategy we could do inside the strategy. They just uploaded my strategy from the strategy that I had, right? So if I let all those no's deter me, I looked at what did I need to improve upon. So every no I got, I said, well, what can I improve on? Is it my marketing plan? They said, no, the biggest thing is it's just not the right niche for us. And I'm like, okay, I could wrap my mind around that. It's just not the right niche. I'm like, so who's publishing my niche? Now, the reason I went with a major publisher, I'm already had a publishing company. I could self-publish it myself. But as a speaker, author, writer, that I've never had a major publisher, right? And in this industry, people are snobby. It's right. Oh, you're published. You're not real. Really? Go look at all those books and all those lives I transformed and tell me those aren't real. That's my arrogance. But I'm like, okay, whatever. Right. So this time we wanted to look at how do we get a big publisher to promote it and to create our credibility up another level. Still, our goal is to impact 1 million business lives. Still, the content is phenomenal. The content is all about building a business from scratch, nothing, bootstrapping it, just selling a business for millions. Right. So it's my journey and my clients' journeys of how do you build a 6, 7, 8-figure business, right? So that you can really grow, expand in a very predictable way. Like I'm very creative. So I am sparkle, squirrel, shiny all day long. So if I don't have a system, I can get distracted so easily. So I've got to have a system to keep me focused, to keep me grounded, right? I need to know step 1, step 2, step 3. And I had to train myself to be that way because I am normally 1, 2, 12, elephant, zebra to get the result, which works for me as an entrepreneur, but it also can hinder me as an entrepreneur. So I think the no's, if you can distinguish why they're saying no, even when clients say no to a product or service I have, so great, what's missing for you? Is there anything else I could do to serve you? Like look at for what's not being said, because it could have been something in my assessment call. It could have been something in my delivery. It could have been I didn't listen versus just you making no mean. I used to make it mean, Catherine, that you didn't like me. Right? I had to really detach that. It didn't mean no, I don't like you. It just means no, not right now. No, I need more information. No, obviously you don't understand what I can do for you. Those are what no's mean now.
I love that. It kind of reminds me of Jack Canfield. He talks about the importance of feedback, and he says it's kind of like kids that play, hot, cold game. And it's like, if you need to get to point A and point B, And then, you're getting warmer, but then you go off track because we all do, right?
Right.
But so if the feedback is getting colder, if you just clamp over your ears and say, I don't want to hear that wah, right? You end up not being able to get back on track. So I'm just underlying for listeners the importance of that no, potentially, the rejection could be God's protection, but it's also this feedback loop that allows you to get to your destination. And so I want to talk about some of those principles that I know are in your upcoming book about, these are the steps, the principles to build a strong business. But I want to throw in a nugget here because it's really important. You said you can make a book profitable. There are so many people out there that do that very expensive, business card approach, and they have boxes of books in their garage. And Susie, you could have like a whole thing like make money fun. Like I love what you were talking about that. So the nugget there is you can have a book that's profitable, but it requires a plan. What were some of the things, Susie, that you did with? Let's just talk about the upcoming book and sort of strategizing and working with the publisher, finding the right publisher first, but then laying out a way. So this is not just a humanitarian thing, but this is truly going to be a book that's going to make money. What are some of the key tips or principles there?
Yeah, so the first thing I want to talk about is what you do for a living is your book, right? When you look at whatever your genius is, there's already a book there. So my book is just the roadmap of what I did in my life and in my business to create. I have multi-million-dollar businesses. I've started 9 businesses, 2 those were dismal failures. I had partnerships that didn't work. Both were expensive hobbies, right? I just have to laugh because it's hilarious when you look back, because I was, putting stats together for my publisher. I'm like, I've had really 9 businesses, but those 2 you can't count. And I'm like, no, you have to count them as an entrepreneur because your failures get you to your success. Right. And the other businesses, building them, growing them, so that it's the roadmap for what I did to build those. And that's not easy. Only 1.7% of business owners hit that $1 million mark. So when you hear someone, especially as a businesswoman, about 40% of our businesses are owned by women today in our country, which I'm very proud of. So if you hear even a businesswoman saying, I'm at $1 million, that's 1.7% of every business in our country. That's a small percentage. Right. I think the only difference is strategy, right? When you know what to do, you do better, right? I'm so coachable. Catherine, just tell me what I need to do and I will do it, right? Just show me the map. I'm a Xerox machine. Show me it. Let me do it. If the person has that credibility, I'm not going to resist you. I'm going to trust, right? If you have those proven results. So I want you to look at whatever your genius is. That's what we need to monetize. Now I'm going to share with you, the book is $28. So the book is the foundation. There's 10 chapters, right? It's $28. My boot camp is $5,000. My boot camp is 3 chapters of the book. That's laid out in video format, laid out with mastermind calls, laid out with a workbook. So same content, different access to me, different access to the content. My global leadership program, which is a year-long mastermind program, that's a $30,000 program. Guess what, Catherine? Same content, different layout. You get one-on-one coaching calls with me. We get mastermind calls. You're getting accountability partner. You get an accountability coach to make sure you're doing all 10 chapters. And then you have executive coaching, which is a year-long program with me. That's $120,000 for the year. I only take on 5 of those a year. Guess what, Catherine? Same content. It's just now, what does Catherine need right now, right? We're not going to start with business plan if your business plan is done. We might start with finances. Then we might go back to our ideal customer. Then we might jump to our sales plan. Or if you look at the book says chapter 1, let's talk about your vision, your mission. Chapter 2, let's talk about what team you're going to need in place. Chapter 3, let's talk about your sales strategy. Chapter 4, right? So if you look at it, same content, different access to myself, different access to the content, delivering the content, same. Now, my previous life, I didn't know that. I was making it up because there wasn't someone teaching a system, right? You would say, hey, I really like that. Can I buy it? I'm like, sure. How much will you pay for that? And you'd go, I'll pay $50. Okay, I'll sell those, right? So I would literally come home from an event and I'm like, I sold $10,000. We need to create this. And my partner was like, what the hell did you sell? I'm like, they said they wanted it. So I sold it. We need money. Here it goes. So I don't recommend that strategy, although that strategy worked for me. I stressed a lot of people out. This strategy is much more cohesive. So when you launch a book, I always say launch a companion product, because the book, again, is $28. With a major publisher, I'm not getting any of that $20, right? That $28. But a companion course, I'll get 100% of that product. So my companion course that goes with the book is $700. Those are 10 videos, short nuggets, $700 workbook, interaction. They have their own Facebook group, right? So that is 100% of mine. So as I'm doing a book launch, I'm selling the book and the companion product so that we're not just selling a $28 book. Whatever book tour you're on, I want you to look at how do I leverage that? Leverage it from a press. You want to look at monetary currency and non-monetary currency. Non-monetary currency is still payment, right? So being on a podcast, there's no monetary currency, but the non-monetary is I'm getting exposed to all Catherine's fans, all her tribe. I get Catherine's credibility, which is tenfold of being paid, right? When you're looking at speaking, you may not be paid to speak, but the non-monetary currency is, are they doing publicity? Are they videotaping it? Can you get a copy of that videotape? You in front of a live audience. That's huge value. So everywhere you look, I want to look at where are you leveraging your asset, the asset called your book, the asset called that intellectual property. And immediately let's create a companion product. So do have something to sell. And we're not selling $49 because $49 is just like $28. You got to sell a lot of $49 to make your overhead, to make your 100,000, 200,000, whatever that number is that you want to make. I want to make it so that you can live a life, right? It can be filled with fun. It can be filled with balance. It can be filled with joy. That's the whole point of owning a business. A business is supposed to provide us way more freedom that we can have doing a job. So I want to make sure that strategically you're setting the right price points in place, and we're setting those price points for profit, right? Profit is planned for. It's not something that just happens.
I love it. I always say that there's a lot of different ways to make $1 million. You can sell 1 million things for $1, or you can sell one thing for $1 million. And there's all these different levels in between. But listeners, I want to really underline here, because this nugget is not just a fun nugget that Susie just gave us. It is a gold nugget. And that is that, you monetize your expertise when you publish a book, but you have to have what she was telling you is a value ladder. So actually at the very bottom, typically of a value ladder is a book. And what Susie's telling you is to be prepared as a savvy author that wants to make money off a book. And why not? We monetize our expertise. You have these value letters. And so thank you, Susie, for kind of giving us an inside peek to what you have in terms of the different levels. Because I think sometimes people just are like, I want to write a book, and they only focus on that, when what you're saying is it's the value ladder that's the key.
Yeah, I remember when I published my first book, right? It was in 1995. And I got asked to speak in San Francisco. And I was so excited, Catherine. I'm like, I'm a published author. It was such a big deal because I didn't think I could do it. I had all this conversation in my head. I'm not good enough. I'm not smart enough. I don't know if any of you have those conversations, but I was having it, right? And so I got on stage and I spoke, and I watched people. There was about 300 people in the audience, and I watched 125 people get up and go in my mind, and I'm signing my book. So proud of myself. And I'm like, this is such a great day. Like, it was so monumental. Then the next guy got up, and his name was Mark. I won't say his last name. And this was the beauty industry, right? So everybody's beautiful. And he shows up, and he looks like he just rolled out of bed. He talked like a used car salesman, right? So, and he's selling this product that was $1,500. Now, my book at that time was $20, and he's selling $1,500. And I'm a hairdresser, and I'm saying, no one can do that. Right. So I had my own money limitation about what someone would buy. Right. I'm like, they're just not going to spend. They don't have that kind of money. They don't have that disposable income. And I'm just judgy. Right. So that was when sometimes God gives you your biggest lessons wrapped in sandpaper. I just felt like he mollywhopped me. Right. So I literally watched the people from mine buying my $20 book. Right. So I sold $125. So I sold $25 that day, which I was so excited about, right? Because I spoke and made $2,500. I watched those same people go on his line for $1,500, and they walked from there to my line, and he sold $187,000 that day. And I sat back. It was the hardest lesson and the best lesson. And I went, oh my gosh. He had his book, but he bundled it with other products. right? He had his book and he bundled it and gave bonuses. He had his book, which was his credibility piece. I think if you're a speaker, you've got to have a book. A book gives you immediate credibility, right? We can raise our fees. It just puts you up above somebody else. It gives you the credibility that you need. And I just sat there befuddled, went, oh, I just need to stop judging and shut my pie hole and be gracious and humble and figure out what else can I serve my market with. Now, that was a $200,000 lesson that day. A great lesson, but a hard lesson that I don't want your listeners to have to go through. Let my pain, let my bloody knees, my bloody elbows be saving grace today to go, oh, how do I get creative, right? And putting bonuses together. I love that you called it the value ladder, so people start with a book and can go up and play with you. Because the reality is they want more of you. So let's give them more of you. We speak or we do webinars or we do Facebook Live and we get people so excited, right? So it's like me telling you, Catherine, oh my gosh, we're going to this place and we're going to have this party and it's amazing, Catherine. And we're going to have Jack Hill there. We're going to have JJ Virgin there. We're going to have Lisa Nichols there. I'm going to come. You're going to be invited. Okay, great. I'll see you next week. And then we just let people drop. Like, well, where's the party? What time is the party? Like, wait, I need details on the party. We're talking about programs. We're talking about our book. We're talking about our intellectual property. I can support you. I can change your life. Okay, see you next week, right? Or, okay, see you next time if you're, speaking on a stage. Like, no. Wait, stop, hold on. Tell me how much the party is. Tell me what's involved in the party. Tell me how to get to the party. Tell me how to play at the party, right? Like, think of it. You're doing the same thing with your clients, getting them so excited, not telling them how to play with you. That's a disservice, right? I know that if I speak, I don't have at least 25% of people take action in my audience, then that was all about me. And Susie looking good, and Susie doing her razzle dazzle, and Susie getting accolades. Who cares? At the end of the day, Catherine, if people aren't taking action, buying your book or buying your courses, their life's going to be the same. Nothing's going to be different. I need my client's life to be different. I mean, if you're going to spend an hour with me, a weekend with me, a week with me, whatever that is, a year with me, your life better be significantly different. And your profit better go up if I'm a profit coach, right? Or haven't done my job. So for me, when I look at people taking action, I know I'm transforming people's lives. I know something's going to be different because they took action, right? If they don't, then it was just a great day, and they wasted you wasted your time and they wasted their money coming there, wherever that is, to go do something different, right? Be the change you wish to see in the world, cause some action, get people uncomfortable, right? Rub it a little bit so that they want to do something to get out of their uncomfortability.
Mm-hmm. And if you rub a couple people wrong in the process, that's totally fine. And I want to go to something that you mentioned, Susie, about these voices in the head. And we often know those as limiting beliefs. And as a profit coach, I cannot miss the opportunity to ask you how, because I know you've got some amazing strategies for how listeners or how you overcame those limiting, like you were saying, I'm not enough, or that costs too much, or that price point, no one's going to buy that. Some of those things. And I know listeners are going, oh, well, that's Susie Carder. She can charge that. How do we overcome those limiting beliefs?
Yeah, one is recognizing it, right? So, I have a coach. I have a personal development coach, AKA therapist. I've had a therapist for 30 years, right? It may not be a therapist, but there's some kind of coach in my personal life. Like, if you're up to something in life, you've got to have people in your corner. And you have to have people in your corner that you respect and that have done something bigger than you've done. Right. I don't need yes people. I don't need someone going, good job, Susie. Right. I have clients saying that. I need someone that's willing to tell me what I don't want to hear, show me what I don't want to see, so that I can be the woman that I know that we could be. Like, we're in a mastermind group, and that's what that group is. That group calls you forth. Right. That's not like we have fun, but that's serious stuff. Like, people are having direct conversations. They're pouring into you. They're serving you. But it's all about, how do we cause transformation in the world, and what's here with me, right? So I've got 3 financial coaches, right? So one's a tax strategist, one's my CPA, and one's a financial strategist, right? To look at, wealth is my birthright, and I want to leverage it, and I want to monetize it. I want to make sure I'm being fiscally responsible to myself and my family. I've got a business coach, which is helping me in business and strategy. right? So you want to look at, who do I need right now? I don't use them all at the same time, right? I look at what do I need right now? What season am I in? Am I in growth mode? Do I need strategic development? Do I need to work on my mindset, right? So having someone that's willing to challenge you, willing to support you, willing to look at what are the things that are stopping you. You know, I grew up poor, and I don't mean the kind of poor we went, oh, we didn't know we were poor. Oh no, girl, we knew we were poor. Like, we were the ones with the food stamps and the lunch line eating government cheese, right? We went school shopping at the DAV, which is the Goodwill, and yard sales. That was school shopping for us. There was 9 kids: Bobby, Ronnie, Stevie, Terry, Joni, Shelley, Susie, Kelly, Debbie, right? So there was 9 of us, 1,200 square feet, 6 girls, 1 bathroom. That's a lot. And so I had to overcome that there's never enough, right? There's no money. Don't ask for any, right? And to be where I am in life, right, took a lot of work. And it took a lot of self-reflection. And it took a lot of me seeing where I was sabotaging myself. It took a lot of humility. It took a lot of vulnerability. It took a lot of me putting my she-go down, right? I'm a woman, so it's a she-go versus ego. Put my she-go aside to go, what do I need right now in my life? Right? I had 2 divorces. So I'm like, I don't want to repeat this pattern. Like, clearly I'm doing something. Either my picker's off. I don't know how to be in a relationship. So I got to look at that. I have to be responsible, proud of it. That each relationship taught me something, but to go, wow, what's my blind spot? Because clearly I'm not seeing something, you know, to have this continued breakdown. I feel like it's a breakdown. I also learned a ton, and I don't regret any of it, but to go, oh, there's something more for me. So I think we have to be lifelong learners, right? And students of the world, to go, what's that thing inside of me that I can't see, so that I can be the person I know that I can be.
I love your authenticity here, Susie, because sometimes I think people look at successful people, successful authors, and they go, oh, well, they don't need any help. They have all the answers. And what you've just described here is the need to build a team. Yeah, a really great team, a really up-leveling team, but it's such an important step. And if you think, listeners, that you have all the answers yourself, that is going to get you into trouble. And so listen to Susie's advice to surround yourself with others that can help you to make those breakthroughs. Because whether it has to do with building a business plan, creating a strategy, you know, just outlining the vision, or a therapist and go for overcoming limiting beliefs at a subconscious level, those are all things that need to happen for you to make these quantum leaps that we're talking about. I have one more sort of tactical question, and I want to get into the more information about your new book that's coming up, but I couldn't pass this up. And it was about, you said that fans are not customers. And I want to outline that for people, because I think people go, okay, well, you know, a lot of people are, you know, they like me, and I've got a lot of friends and family, and, you know, a lot of people are going to buy my book when it comes out, and I'm going to sell 1 million copies. Well, you also said that it takes engagement to turn those fans into customers. So I wanted just to maybe get a couple of strategies there around transforming what might be a fan base into a customer base, because that's what it's all about when you're in business.
Right. Yeah. And it used to be like, I started the largest technology company in the beauty industry in 1999. So it tells you how cuckoo I was. I'm like, this is what we need. And so back then, you just need eyeballs. You just need people to see it. So we quickly had 30,000 people on my ship. Okay. There were 30,000, nobody was buying anything. I'm like, eyeballs don't matter. Look, I must have to learn the hard way, Catherine. I'm just going to say, those are my hardest lessons. So I remember when I got married the first time, my grandma pulled my husband aside, Catherine, and she said, I don't know why you're marrying her. She don't listen. So I'm a tough nut, but I learn it, and I learn it once. So let me just say that. So that was a hard lesson, because we worked really hard to get those 30,000 fans, right, into our database. We had 30,000 people in our database, but no buyers. So I'm like, okay, there's something missing here. Is it our offer? Is it? So we had to start looking at how do we convert them, which was engagement. And so back then, engagement is completely different now than it was then. It was all over the phone. Do you remember Instant Teleseminar? That engagement strategy. Look, we're going way back. Instant Teleseminar. We get people on a call. We'd have 50, 60 business owners on a call, giving them information, giving them value, having them turn in homework so that we can convert them into our clients. So it's all about looking at, if you have 100,000 fans, to go, how do I get them to engage today? Like, what kind of, I need to get them to my website. Once I get them to my website, because they're fans, they're not customers, they're not ours to buy or sell yet. We got to get them to our database. Once you get them into your database, then how are you going to, biggest mistake we made when I was running Lisa's company is our client fulfillment, right? We're great at getting people in the door, and then we shut the door and go get more people in the door. Well, the client fulfillment, like once they come in, you've done all this hoopla to excite them, to get them in. Here's what we're going to do. And we delivered on our programs, but there was such a missing on how am I going to handhold them through the process. So I want you to think about when a client think about a brick and mortar business back in the day. If a client walked in my doors, how would I greet them? What would I say to them? And sometimes that's not hiring just a copywriter to do it, because you have a fingerprint. You have a voice that's distinct than anybody else's voice. Don't just let somebody write copy for you. Think about, how do I want to take these customers? And then, as Catherine said, what's the value ladder, right? So if they start buying your book, then what happens? Then what happens? Then what happens? And get them engaged. Like we're hosting right now, because we're, in challenging time of business, which is always. So every Monday at 11 o'clock, we're hosting a Zoom call to get people engaged, to talk about their wins and their successes and how to support each other to keep that momentum going, right? We've got a 5-day challenge going again to keep us engaged. Community builds connection. And we have to be the leader of that community, and we have to be a leader of that connection, we as business leaders. So how can you be a leader in your community and you be the expert? You be that go-to person that they come to get advice from, to get, publishing. They want to publish excerpts from your book. They want to host you on one of their podcasts or one of their Zoom calls. Like, make yourself so valuable. And a lot of that in the beginning, Catherine, is free. I do a ton of stuff for free that in the end will get me a fee. I don't get paid for it up front, but in the end, it gets me paid. So I don't want to look, it's not free when I think about it, because I know the investment I'm making in my tribes and my community, but it's part of what we have to do to get that engagement. And always, always, always call people to do something, some kind of action. What do you want them to do on your Facebook Live, Instagram Live? Don't just spout out information, right? It goes back to the philosophy of give 80% and ask for 20%. But in the 80%, what can I ask them to do? Share this information, comment on the information, right? Go sign up for a free download. Go listen to Catherine's podcast. It doesn't have to be about you. My stuff's not always about me. It's about other people that I know are game changers in the marketplace, that are willing to do something different and serve like I serve, right? Serve from their overflow, are committed to going that extra mile.
I love that. And this engagement, I think it's important to underline, and you mentioned this before, this idea of non-monetization and monetization, right?
Yeah.
So any tips before we get into Power Your Profits? I want to spend, a good sort of, 5 to 10 minutes on that book and kind of tell people where they can find the book and learn more about your work. But on that non-monetization versus monetization, any tips for listeners about how to balance that? Because I do know people that they give and they give and they give, and it's like, okay, well, what's the strategy to monetize? But at the same time, I also have people that just are sell, and it's like, wait a minute, what about giving and engaging?
Right. So, you got to have a system for it, right? So I apologize for cutting you off, but you got to have a system. So I have a system. So when I do a podcast, I log the podcast, and then I log the number of either downloads a person has or the reach they have. That's to my publisher. Right. So I want you to look for partners. If you have somebody that wants to be a partner of yours and they want you to, do something with you, it's all about reach and all about your database. So I'm monetizing that in my own way. It may not come physical money today. Then after a show is launched, I'm looking at, did we get orders? Did I get people into my database? The number of growth in the database, I'll put next to Catherine's name to say, oh, that grew 200 people. Now, I can't directly say that came from her, but if I'm looking at stats and I'm looking at when they came in, it's probably a good assumption that they came in from there. The second thing is when I'm looking at events that I do, because there's some events that I'll speak for free if it's the right event. So in the event, I'm looking at how many people were there, how many people closed, what percentage of the room was that, what was the average ticket. And so it says, I may have spoke for free, which my speaking fee is $25,000, but I made $250,000. So that was worth my time, $250,000. So if I go back and they invite me again, I'll go, yes, that was an event that I want to go to. We have one vendor that we spoke for free for 3 years and sales just sucked. That just said, they weren't the right partner for us. Their consumer wasn't our consumer. So the event was amazing. The clients were amazing. The event was amazing. Our valuations were amazing, but there were no sales. Now we know how to sell, so we knew that wasn't the issue. It was just like, oh, this may not be our ideal client. To go, I'm not going to make the organizer wrong. It's just like, oh, because we have enough data that shows us not at the event we should be at. Now, if we had something else that was more in line with that down the road, I made a note of what that ideal client was. So we can go, oh, this makes sense. Or if I have a partner, let's say I have a partner, Catherine, and she's like, oh, I want to reach authors, to go, oh, this person has your authors. Let me make that introduction. So it's great intellectual property to leverage relationships, create relationships, monetize relationships, right? Because we all want to do win-win business. I want to do win-win business. And I want to support women and men that are supporting me and my tribe, right? At the end of the day, it's what's best for my community. How can I serve them? How can I introduce them to amazing people like you, amazing people like your listeners, that if they have something that my clientele would love, that's how we grow our businesses together. It's not for me and me for all. Wow, how do I help my clients and my community win?
I love that. So listeners, embrace your geek side. Like, just go after the data. What Susie is saying there is, when you're playing out that balance between monetization and non-monetization, don't just do something and then move on to the next thing. It's about actually looking at the data. What happens to your email list? And by the way, please have that set up before you do all this work, right? Have your website, have places that people can go so that you can track the data, look at your Google Analytics, all of that stuff. And of course, look at your sales. So embrace your geek side, or hire someone to embrace that geek side and look at that data, because as Peter Drucker says, what you don't measure, you can't manage. Yeah. So let's talk about Power Your Profits. We've got a little bit less than 10 minutes left, and I want to make sure to give you time to share your website and all the places people can follow you and learn more about your work. But a little bit more, you have your dream publisher partner. How has it been to work with that dream partner, and a little bit more about the book and its messages, so we can go out and get it when it's live. Congratulations, by the way, this fall.
You. So excited. Well, the dream partnership's been great, right? But the reality, and I don't know if you're on this call and you want a publisher, still 90% of it's up to me, right? I think that's a delusion that the publisher is going to do a lot more for you than they do, and they're a dream partner, right? So I still have a big marketing campaign. I still have an ad budget. I still have strategic partners, right? I'm still taking it on as if they're not really there, right? Doing all the things that I did with my own publishing company because I know. Right. And then over the years, it's gotten more sophisticated. Right. So with this book, it comes out in September, but we have a lot of juicy bonuses that we're giving away because I want you to be in action now. Right. Now is the perfect time. Now is the time. Right. So you can find me at poweryourprofitsbook.com. And when you go there, you'll see the bonuses. So you get about $5,000 worth of bonuses for $28. Now, I don't know where you're going to get that kind of ROI, except for with Susie Carder. I'm just saying. So I give you 6 of my most favorite tools as a bonus, right? And so it takes the cash calculator. How many qualified leads do you need to hit your goal? I have the financial spreadsheet that's in there that has you look at units and dollars. These are all the spreadsheets that I made for my own business, Catherine, because they were so confusing getting it from the CPA. And so again, I said, I'm not an accountant. I'm not a CPA. I'm an entrepreneur. And so when I would get tools from my CPA, I would just look at them and stick them in a drawer. So I'm like, we got to make these accessible so people will use them, implement them, and get the data, right? Be a data geek without being a data geek to grow and leverage your business. So you get 6 of those templates with a little video that goes with each one of them. Delicious, right? You get our Wisdom and Wealth audio. That's how do you change your mindset from having a poverty mentality to a wealthy mentality. There's certain things that wealthy people do that people who live in poverty or live inside of that status quo that most people just don't know. And I have been just a student of going, how do I break that poverty mindset? How do I get out of there's never enough? How do I get out of that vicious cycle? Then we've got Propel Your Profits. That's quick ways to increase what I call fast cash so that you can increase and monetize whatever you're doing right now. So those bonuses are juicy, juicy, juicy. And then we're going to pick 3 winners to win a one-on-one consulting session with me, all about you and your business, which is a $5,000 value per ticket, to give back to the community for 3 lucky people to win that. So when you order from poweryourprofits.com, you'll go order the book and then come put in your receipt, and you'll get access to all those delicious bonuses.
I love how you're walking your talk, because clearly you have a system for your book launch, and these bonuses sound amazing. So folks, that's poweryourprofitsbook.com. You can go there, grab your book, and you can grab all these bonuses. They sound amazing. And I totally agree, Susie, that there's a huge difference between what you get that's sort of like, QuickBooks and, an Excel from a CPA versus what I know you put together being very beautiful and user-friendly and, man, making money fun. I love that.
Right. It's got to be fun. Let's take the mystery out of it and quit avoiding it, right? Most people want to avoid it. I don't want to avoid it. I want us to be in control of it, harness it, leverage it, so that we can have a life that we love. That's why we're doing what we're doing and working so hard.
I love it. And I can tell that you're working really hard. What about plans for a virtual book tour, about a physical book tour, anything with that, so that listeners can go to your website, learn what you're doing, get on your schedule, come see you speak?
Yeah, so you can go to my website, susiecarder.com, and you click under events, and it'll show you everything that we have scheduled. We've got a virtual event coming up in June that we're doing. It's a 3-day business summit. It's all that other 85% that you need to work on inside of your business, that sales, marketing, operation, finance. And I make it fun because I love assessments. I don't know if you love assessments. I do love assessments. So we assess every area of your business. So when you leave, you have a roadmap going, oh, this is what I need to work on first. Right? Not ideas, not concepts. You're going to get the meat and potatoes to what you need for your business. So it's very customized for you and your business.
Fantastic. Okay. So folks, poweryourprofitsbook.com. You can go and get all the bonuses and get this whole roadmap. You use the word roadmap. And I love that because people need to know where, they want to go to success, right? They want to be successful entrepreneurs. Here they are, but how do they get there? They need a map, right? So your book is a map. And then susiecarder.com has got all this information about where you're speaking and how you can get involved in her other programs. And folks, this is truly a woman who is walking her talk. Everything she talked about today, I know she's got in place for her own business. You say you've learned the hard way, but Susie, I know you're having fun along the way, and we applaud you and all the lessons that you've learned.
Thank you. I appreciate it. And so I want to leave you with one of my favorite quotes from Benjamin Franklin. It's how I have lived my life. And he says, take the coins from your purse, invest them in your mind, and your mind will fill your purse overflowing. So the one thing no one can ever take away from you is your intellectual property. And so, I may have only been a hairdresser, but I've made millions leveraging my intellectual property and being able to monetize that. So my request is that you keep investing in you. When everything else goes awry, keep investing in you because you're the best bet that we can bet on, right? You're the best stock. You're the best asset, you. So I'm proud of each of you. I'm proud of you for taking this time to learn. I'm proud of each of you for being willing to reach out and do something different, right? Unconventional people can change the world. And we as entrepreneurs are definitely unconventional. So Catherine, thank you for leading the charge and being unconventional, making everything fun, right? Because it makes life worthwhile. Thank you for who you are in the world. Thank you for your sisterhood and your support. It means so much to me. Thank you for being a badass woman in the world so that we can live by example, and you live that example every day.
Oh, I'm getting all emotional and like tingly and stuff. So thank you, my darling. And thank you for all the value you've added to our listeners today.
Thank you. Have an amazing day.